What's up guys, welcome back for part 2. In this video we're going to be checking out the Toon shader that I used for the 3D portion of the video that you just saw. So to start things off, we'll make the Toon shader for the floor, and this is the most basic version of the Toon shader. We're going to start with a principled BDSF to give us the light path information that we need, and we're going to add a shader to RGB. This will convert the shader node into just RGB color values. From here we can plug this into a color ramp, and we'll change it from cardinal to constant. This will make it so that there is no blurring or gradient between the light and the dark. It will just go from one color to the next, and this gives it more of a cell shaded look, which is what I was going for in this case. We can plug that color ramp directly into the output, and that's really as easy as it is for the Toon shader. Next we'll add this same shader to the robot leg, but this time we'll alter the colors by a little bit. We can do this by copy and pasting the nodes from the floor material into the material for the robot. After some color adjustment, I think everything looks pretty good. But I noticed that there was no shadows being cast on the floor by the foot, and that's because our flame object is still casting a shadow. So we're going to model that material next, and we'll see what trick we can use to make sure that the flame doesn't cast a shadow. So to start off, we're going to bring in a wave texture. This just makes striations in the whatever material you have it on, in this case along the x-axis. And using the Node Wrangler add-on, we're going to press Shift W and add the principled node setup. And on the mapping side of things, we want to plug in the object into the mapping vector instead of the generated. This will make sure that all of our coordinates line up later. Next, we're going to add a noise texture, and we're going to separate it using the separate X, Y, Z. Now what this does is it takes it so that instead of noise being everywhere in all 3 dimensions, we're only going to have noise in the X dimension, which is the dimension in which we want the noise to look, so that it gives, instead of straight bands of wave, we're going to have slight waves in the wave texture. And from there we can plug it into our color ramp, and this will once again make it so that there's no gradient between the 2 colors, and it'll be more cell shaded, which is a more cartoonized look and something that I was looking for here. And finally we'll add an emission shader, and this is so that I can control the brightness of the flame and so that it's not just a constant color. And in the case of the outer flame, I also wanted to make it slightly transparent, and so I just did a mix shader with the transparent BDSF and the nodes from the emission shader. After playing around with some settings to make sure that the bands look right, I was able to get something that closely replicated the hand-drawn texture that I had made on the flames. The final step is to change the blending mode from alpha clip to alpha blending. This will allow us to have a slightly translucent material. The inner flame material is the same material as the outer flame. I just got rid of the transparent BDSF because I didn't want any of the inner flame to be see-through. Here we offset the X value, or the X coordinate rather, of the wave wave texture position so that the waves don't line up perfectly from the inner and outer plane, because I thought that would look kind of weird. Next up, we'll animate the position of the wave texture from the first frame to the last frame so that it looks like the waves are moving down the wave, giving the illusion of speed or of gases leaving this rocket in this case. I'll apply the robot leg material to all the other parts of the robot leg. So I didn't show this, but the first step for this is actually to turn off soft shadows. To do that, you just need to go to the render settings and deselect soft shadows. And you might notice when you do that you'll get hard shadows, but that they're gonna have jagged edges. Now the solution to this is to just come over into the shadows setting and change the cube size from something like 512 more to something like 2048. And this just samples more times along the surface, giving you a cleaner line. A final touch was to add some color to some of the inset parts of the objects. And to do this, you just make a second material for that object, select the faces that you want to have that material, and then click Assign. Alright, that's it for part 2, guys. Hopefully this video is helpful. In part 3, we'll be taking a look at freestyle and how we can adjust those settings to give a good looking outline that doesn't look computer generated. Thanks.